All right, welcome back. This is WUB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes, and it's Tuesday. I'm holding over for my brother, Mose Hyde, who's normally in the seat on Tuesdays. As you know, we are into a new format now on WUB, where Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we are joined by two additional hosts. We have David Almendares and Dominique Norales that joins us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And Mose and I sort of take the Tuesday and Thursday for us to do and conduct our interviews. So today, Tuesday, we have a very special guest with us. And she's no stranger. She's been out and very, very active in her area. And she's here this morning to share with us a new enterprise that she's about to get involved in, or a continuation of an enterprise that she's involved in. I introduce you to Michelle Williams. Shall I call you the yogist? Is it?
No, don't give me that.
No, you didn't
I'm still working towards that. It's a process. But
welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. You are getting ready to do something great, but before you go into the exercise that's coming up, give us a little background on what you've been doing over the last few years. I've seen you in the yoga exercises and trying to get people to understand the importance of self-control and self-awareness, etc. But you've been doing it with children. Sometimes I see you doing here. So what has Michelle been doing?
Well, first of all, it's not me. We are a group of individuals that have found positive effects from mindfulness, meditation, yoga, and basically stress relief practices. Because I think it is safe to say that once the body is experiencing extreme stress, we don't necessarily have control over our actions or our thoughts, and things can go a little bit awry.
Indeed.
And so what we, as a group of people, and this is not only from Rhythm of Change, there are also people out there in Belize that are practicing self-care tools, sharing self-care tools, that are working towards pretty much the same goal. Mm-hmm. But for I am involved with an organization that I founded called Rhythm of Change Belize. And myself with 10 other Belizeans who have found and have been affected positively by the practices that we offer. We have founded this organization that basically we implement and we promote positive interactions. We promote self-care tools. We promote, we're out there trying to work on individuals so that as a whole families can come together and feel more, be mended. And then from that, we do truly believe that our country can heal through these practices. Our mission is threefold. Our first mission is social transformation, and basically that works with people that maybe have made mistakes in their lives, not only those people but the people that haven't, so that there is a compassionate approach to how we deal with situations. We work in, for instance, Wagner's in the prison with the under 18s, and we teach them mindfulness tools so that they can begin to understand the importance of shedding toxic and negative thought patterns about themselves.
Well, let me say that you're using a new vocabulary. Some folks may not be able. Well, for example, to talk about self-care, to talk about mindfulness, to talk about, as you said here, using it as tools. It's a new language for people, so you have to get into getting people, first of all, to be conscious that they can do those things for themselves as opposed to going outside and asking somebody to solve my problem.
Yes, exactly. There is
So how do you get there?
Well, how do I get to the prison? How do I get to Kobe?
How do you,
you get there?
how do you bring a young man who is at Wagner's facility, who's coming out of a very aggressive, violent, dysfunctional environment? He's reflecting that. He gets into that environment. Now here comes Miss Michelle and say, hey.
Not just me. We have others that go in.
I'm only using your...
Okay, yeah, I understand.
So you are trying now to get his attention. He's coming from a... and you're trying to tell him, bring all of them thing they done into... So how do you do that?
Well, what I do is I try... First of all, I create a space where we practice there.
Okay. And what is involved in that practice?
So we create a space that I call the safe space,
okay.
and a sacred space. So they first of all know that they're coming into a place where they can close their eyes and not be fearful, because that very what might seem a very insignificant thing for the young men that are coming from these situations, even closing their eyes is fear. So we found that a lot of the reactions come from fear. They've lived in a fearful environment. And so what we try to do is we first introduce them to a mindful practice. And that's allowing them to understand that being and concentrating on the past, you're entering into a depressive state. And worrying about the future, you're entering into an anxious or anxiety-ridden state. And so we just try to teach them, and I wish Mr. Jeremy Enriquez was here, because he's really the mindfulness person.
He was here a couple of...
He has also been to the prison.
Yeah, he's been working
to Colby. And so we teach them to become aware of the present moment, and through that we use the breath, because the breath is constant. And they learn to basically acknowledge and observe their thoughts. And the more that they do that, the more, kind of like watching a movie, so that they're detached from it. And the more that they do that, the more that they can kind of shed this negative self-narrative, this toxic self-narrative. And that combined with breath work, so that they learn to breathe properly, so that when they do start to, something triggers them and they become fearful or anxious or reactive, or their nervous system becomes out of whack, that they can balance themselves through breath. And that's also a very powerful tool. So we use those tools. And then of course there's the asana practice, which is the posture, and that relieves physical tension, because of a lot of the times, and actually all of the time, when we have stress, it manifests in the body. And that's why people say all the time that stress is the cause of many diseases, but it also can bring about physical tension. So we work with different asana practices to have them release the physical tension, and then we take them into a very deep conscious relaxation, so that when they leave, when they finish the class, and let me tell you, that class is always full. We have sometimes 30 year men that get to come, and they don't necessarily need to be there, they come by choice. And if I miss a day or I miss a week, there's always, where were you last week? But it's a matter of teaching them compassion for themselves, so that they realize that even though they've made mistakes, that we're all human, that humans make mistakes, but that does not define you. And that you can move forward in a more positive way of thinking, a way of interacting. Even if they're stuck in Colby for the rest of their lives, they can still garner this self-compassion, and through self-compassion, self-confidence, and be productive members of society whilst they're staying at Colby. And we would like to even think that if they're released, that they use these tools. And it's a discipline. They learn the discipline when they're there, to use these tools, and gradually, as they reflect and show it within themselves, others will catch on to it. And it's something that's free. Once they've learned how to do it, they don't need to get paid for it. They don't need to pay for it. They just need to be able to carve out a time and not set themselves up to failure, so they don't carve out a time where they know they'll be distracted, but carve out a time to provide that self-care to them, to themselves.
You seem as if your work among the delinquent youths at the Colby is like a very special project to you, in the sense that you are dealing with people who are in need of recovery, and they're a captured audience, so to speak. How does that compare with, for example, trying to do it with schools and school teachers and others who have the freedom to come or not come?
Well, it's all about healing, and it's all about relieving stress. So if you think, and then I certainly am not a scientist or anything like that, but I know enough to say that if we work with the nervous system, our reactions, that fight, flight, freeze, if we work with those, and as an organization, Rhythm of Change, we work with those through mindfulness, meditation, yoga, conscious relaxation, pranayama, breath work. If we work with those things, it can help anyone. I mean, it's good for the corporate world, for interactions in work. It's good for schools, interactions with the teachers. It's really good because we're also working, we've been at St. Martin de Porres through Project Heal for many years. Actually, we were there even before we formed Rhythm of Change. They were the first that were really open to it. And there has been really positive effects over the years for their students, even when it comes to schoolwork. Their focus, their concentration, their sense of restraint, that ability to press pause instead of react when they're provoked. Those things have been realized. And so now we work not only with Martin de Porres, but we've begun to work with the teachers at Holy Redeemer. Mr. Enriquez has done a mindfulness introduction. I have done some practices, and then in the new year we will work more with the teachers and with the students, because it's good that we hit them from both ends. We're also at Maud Williams. We recently started there twice a week. But we're not only in the city. Rhythm of Change is countrywide. So we have an ambassador in PG that's working with, he's working with the hospitals to try to help alleviate stress with the doctors and the nurses. He's working with teachers. He's done some workshops with St. Peter Clavier Roman Catholic School. We have workshops in Corozal. We're all over. Belmo Pan, our ambassador, is actually working at Marla's House of Hope and King's Children's Home. And again, to give these, the residents there, and even I like to say they're residents at Colby, because that word inmate, I think, is so permanent. It doesn't give them ability to breathe and to see beyond that. But at Marla's House of Hope, the children that are there, we want to make them understand that beyond their circumstances, that they can build some self-confidence. They can acquire this capability to be compassionate to themselves, so that when they go out and they interact, they can also be compassionate.
When you look at the good work that you are doing, and I commend you for it, as I did Jerry Enriquez when he was here, anything that will help people to be better, and particularly if it helps them to gain control over themselves and to think before they act, it's a good thing. But for eons, this has been the purview of religion, that we come to religion to find out how to come at peace with ourselves and how to worship God by being good and better. That has been the call of faith in God. But here we are in the midst of religion, many in the world, and so many unmindful people. And now here comes a group that doesn't call itself religious, doesn't call people to religion, but calls people to what religion does for people, which is to bring them to peace. Do you find any resistance at all, any criticism at all coming from established, organized religion towards maybe referring to you as cults and referring to you as strange little demons and how they say it, the prophets of doom that will come in the last days? Are you faced with that in any?
Not in recent times. When I first started, I had some of that. But I think I'm a Catholic. I'm a practicing Catholic. You can find me at St. Martin's, the poorest parish, every Sunday at 6:30. I have my place there. And actually, our organization is made up of all different people from all walks of life, from all religious backgrounds. So it's not necessarily, so as you said, we are calling people, but to connect to God through the things that He has given us, through breath.
So you really then, you're giving a better interpretation to life and the blessings of God than the current religious narrative. Because if the current religious narrative was producing people stress-free and mindful, then what would be the use of going to you?
Well, I think that when it comes
I'm saying the failure of one produces the need for the other.
I think when it comes to that, I think that there's, I respect and I acknowledge all organized religions. And I think sometimes we have to say that it's not necessarily the story, but it's maybe our humans, our egos that gets and manipulates and
hence my saying that what you are doing is telling us how to get rid of all those egos and maybe get back to what God is saying.
And
hey,
to connect
feel
better,
yourself.
and to connect better with the religious beliefs that you have. It's not necessarily to eliminate one and choose the other.
Yeah.
It can certainly, and it has worked for me, and it works for many
people,
that they can connect better to their religious beliefs.
I have no doubt, and I'm not introducing this aspect of the conversation.
But I've heard that, and when I first came
because
back, it did.
I think that religion is made up of dogma and rituals, but it's rituals leading to a purpose.
Exactly.
And that purpose should be God consciousness.
And many times the
and
rituals
so there may be many doors to the mansion.
To the same.
But it's getting there. So I'm saying that to a large extent, many of us who are very ritualistically religious are not mindful. We're not at peace. We're in stress. Yeah. And so when you come along and you're able to say, well, all the rituals that you're used to, put that aside for a minute and give a new interpretation to those rituals through this consciousness. And you're not introducing that there is no God and that there is no, you're introducing just a different way
and
in order to reach. Am I right in that?
Yes, and just let me say too that it's what we do at Rhythm of Change, like I said, it doesn't follow any religious based techniques. We follow a science.
I see.
And that science, which is partly yoga and partly meditation and mindfulness and breath work, those are sciences. They've been proven, so that we can put that aside. But there is this religious connotation because yoga comes from India and the majority of Indians are Hindus. And I like to give respect where respect is due. I use in a lot of my practices, I use Sanskrit terms for asana because I was trained in India. And I think if a culture has brought a science to the world that is useful, why not make it known? It doesn't mean that Christians can't use it. It doesn't mean that Muslims can't use it. It doesn't mean that Jews can't use it. It's there for everyone to use. And And so that is how we approach our practices.
Let's talk about the specifics of what will be happening over the next few days.
So Rhythm of Change has all these programs throughout the country, and what we do is actually we pay our teachers through some of our teachers through the Consulate of India in Belize has provided yoga scholarships to go study at SVASA University in India, and some of them have come back, and when they come back we filter them into one of our programs, and these
are Belizeans that have gone to train.
Belizeans,
how many of them so far?
So far 8.
8 of them.
So far since, and they came.
And when they come back as missionaries working specifically?
No, they come back not missionaries. They come back as certified yoga teachers, and
ambassadors, you call them,
and we call them rock ambassadors because they go, and when they go into they work on behalf of rock.
And they get paid.
They get paid.
I see.
And
who pays them?
Rock. So
Rock is you or India?
No, us.
Rock is your.
Yes, we fundraise.
Wow.
Sometimes, like the organizations actually provide, for instance, the Ministry of Human Development. They do provide us with a stipend to give the teachers.
So government is participating monetarily.
Ministry of Human Development is responsible for us being at Wagner's. We're also at the female section at the Colby Foundation, and we've been there for years too. That has been funded through Rock. We've had to go out and find the fund. We've actually certified 4 female residents at Colby Foundation
as teachers,
as yoga teachers through not through the government in India, but through my yoga school, Shanti Belize, and basically they are able to then not only can they use the knowledge to continue their self-care, but they can go out, and all 4 have been released back into society. They can go out and they can offer it to their communities. And
so how have they been doing since they are released?
I haven't heard back from them because
that would be good to hear.
Most were actually human trafficking victims. So they've gone back to their countries. There's 2 that have been released recently. So I do have to check up to see how they're doing. But for those that have gone back, it gives them that ability and that empowerment not to have to go into maybe the sex trade anymore. They can use to supplement their income, and it gives them a sense of awareness of their body and appreciation of their body. So we fundraise, and we do fundraise, and we get donations. For instance,
this is a pretty healthy financially organization.
Well, I don't know about that. We've been working
you're
hard.
employing people. You're doing rigorous fundraising.
We do a lot of fundraising.
You're obviously getting people to support you, and you have 6 ambassadors out there that
we actually have far more than that. Not all of them are paid. The ones that are...
And these are full-time pay, or these are...
No. They only pay like per class.
On session? Okay.
For instance, we have also ambassadors that do community classes for free.
Okay.
So for instance, down south, we have 3 ambassadors now in Placencia that are offering community classes to the seniors. So they get chair yoga classes for seniors to help them with their mobility and their joints, and also it helps them with their focus. We also have community classes, and one of the most recent SVASA scholarship recipients has her own place, and she's also starting relaxation for the community. PG, we have an ambassador that's working with schools. So it depends on the situation how we fund it, but some of the Rock ambassadors actually do it we call it karma yoga, giving back.
This is good, Michelle. It's
but let me talk about the festival, because that's the reason I'm here.
Yeah.
But I thought it was important to let people know when they support the festival, what they're actually supporting. It's a great day. It's a family event. It's a time for meaningful interactions, for social for soulful reflections, and for healing. And so they experience that on that, the people that attend experience it on that day, but then they know that they're actually helping to fund teachers, Belizeans, to go out and to do that. And I'd like to also say, because I was saying about our mission, so we have social transformation and peace building, and those are where we go into the Colby, the children's homes, and schools. And then we also have training on entrepreneurship. So through Rhythm of Change, we also train. Through the scholarships in India, they get their training. But what Rhythm of Change also does is that we do find funding so that they can go out and actually be compensated for the work that they're doing, so that it's you know, it stays. Because if people aren't compensated financially, you know, they won't necessarily continue, and that's
critical.
That's critical.
Yeah.
And also, I always believe in a even exchange of energy. You give, but not necessarily expect it to come back the same time, but there has to be a flow of, you know, you're filling up your cup and you're giving. There has to be this beautiful, this karmic kind of flow. So we help to support the teachers, but we also encourage them to start their own businesses. For instance, our ambassador in PG, he has his own yoga studio, and we help to promote it, and we help to, like if I have a teacher that comes to Shanti or to deal with rock, we try to let them go down to PG so that they can share, they can get that exposure. Also, Freedom Yoga in Belmopan, we offer this little guidance. We give them business advice, emotional advice, emotional support. So that comes into play as well. And then there's the community building, and those are the free classes in Placencia, in Corozal, you know, and what we do on a weekly basis.
So your specific day now.
So the festival, the Belize International Yoga Festival, is this Sunday, December 1st, at Harborview Green. So if you know where Shanti Belize is, or the Belize sign up at the fort by the lighthouse, it's just opposite there. It's where the old the field where the old Ottoman used to be. So it's just across the street from the Belize sign up at the fort. And gates open at 6, and we start off
So you're actually in the park directly across from the lighthouse?
No, not the park. It's the only way that you know where Sit and Sip used to be? Right opposite there.
I did try to give them...
You know where Harborview Restaurant
I know
is?
where it is.
Just opposite
Yeah,
there.
across from the old customs house.
As you come out of the tourist village, it's on the left, going towards the Belize sign. We have signs there, and there's a schedule is there, so people can go from now to see.
So it'll be in that yard? It'll be in that yard?
It'll be in that yard.
Where the Audubon used to be.
So we start off with, at 6:15, with a mindfulness practice with Mr. Jerry, and that's always a beautiful start to the day because it sets a tone. The field is inhabited by the people from all walks of life, and it really sets a beautiful tone for the rest of the year, for the rest of the day. But I have to also mention that this day is supported by teachers from all over the country. They come for free to teach on this day. We have 2 teachers that are flying in from abroad for free. They come because they, you know, sometimes it's hard to describe, but in the yogic community, we're quite supportive of each other. So they come down, they find their accommodations, and they share their knowledge and their practice with the Belizean and for foreigners. So it starts at 6:15. It starts at 6 a.m. and it goes to 6 p.m. The cover charge is only $10 Belize for anybody over 12. Anybody under 12, it's free. And with
food, accommodations.
We have you have to pay for that. We have accommodations.
There's going to be food there.
There's going to be food on sale. Mo's Pizza is selling veggie pizzas. Martha's Cafe is providing Chai Garden Ashram from Cayo. They're going to be there, and they're going to be offering chai tea, kombucha, breakfast bars. They're going to be doing henna body art, reflexology.
So it's a festival.
It's a festival. We have 4 classes.
And people will be coming and going.
You get, once you come in, you pay your $10 and you get a wristband. And once
What
you
I
get,
mean is that it's not going to be confined in
No,
any
no.
way. You can walk and come and go
yeah,
and be free.
You get
but
your
of course
wristband.
you're going to want to be there to participate in the various
yeah.
activities.
We'll have everything from, we have Tai Chi. We also offer Tai Chi. We're offering Tai Chi with the Belize City Council to the Belize City seniors
I was
as part
wondering
of
if
Rock.
that Tai Chi would not be an excellent exercise to get a number of people involved with every morning.
The seniors, well, the
'Cause
seniors from the
you
Belize
know,
City Council.
One of the most beautiful things was to see in the 60s how the Chinese in mainland China would be, you would see almost thousands of people and they'd just be practicing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful dance.
And and it just calmed people down.
It calms and it energizes as well, because you're using the breath, and the flow of prana is releasing, old prana, and you're bringing in new prana, so your body's energized. But yes, Rock also offers in a collaboration with the Belize City Council. They have found some seniors, and one of our ambassadors, Mrs. Hua Yu Chen, she offers Tai Chi to these seniors, and it's 9 of them that come every week, and they are doing really well.
Excellent.
It helps with focus, it helps with conversation, it helps with memory.
It's a great exercise.
So we have Tai Chi, we have Qigong dance, we have a doctor of Oriental medicine flying in from Fort Lauderdale, Dr. George Love, and that is his real name, I swear you not. He'll be offering Qigong. And then we have chair yoga, we have restorative yoga. I'm doing yoga with Musa Saeed, the drums. So we're doing yoga to the primal rhythm of the Creole drums. We have yoga for better joint range mobility. We have slow flow. We have Ashtanga, which is a more powerful, vigorous yoga. We have children yoga. We have 2 children yoga classes, one for 5 to 8-year-olds and one for 9 to 12-year-olds.
So this is this coming Sunday.
This coming Sunday.
And it will be across from, say, where the World Customs used to be and where the Audubon Society
I like
was.
to, unfortunately, people know it as where Sit and Sip was, used to be, so it's a good reference that way.
Good. And it starts at 6, goes for 12 hours.
It goes for 12 hours.
You're free to come and go, but you would benefit if you stay and get as much as you can.
There's also going to be a discussion on digital minimalism, to understand being so connected to the phone, it's causing people anxiety, and to understand the effects of that. We also have a discussion on building relationships. And then Cadence, I don't know if you know Cadence, they're a very popular Belizean duo. They'll be performing, and this all falls under your $10. So can I just give a shout out to my sponsors, because they have made this happen. So our platinum sponsor is Confetti Green, and they will transform our yoga festival into this wonderful eco-friendly environment. So that is our platinum sponsors. Our gold sponsors are Harborview Cottages and Love Foundation. We're very, very grateful to them. And then our silver sponsors are Atlantic Bank, BIC, Bravo and Nissan. They've provided a vehicle for us to do runarounds this week. Also, the Ministry of Human Development, they've sponsored Pilgrimage Foundation, Ambassador Shabazz. She's been a supporter of mine. Well, I've known her, she's like my aunt for 20 odd years, and she's been a supporter of our efforts since its inception. So that's very nice. The Radisson Fort George Hotel and Marina, they're also a silver sponsor. And then our bronze sponsors are Belize Dreams, Belize Tourism Board, Coco Plum Island Resort, King's Rental, Martha's Cafe, M&M and Hardware in PG, Moe's Pizza, The Music Ambassador, and Zeta Water. They're our bronze sponsor. So
you're really stocked up with really good people there.
Yeah. And then we have,
which shows that people out there supporting you with their money.
Yeah,
That's good.
Saffron Indian cuisine has also provided food, because the night before we have a gathering of the teachers so that we can come together and share energy and kind of like bond. And also Samati is also providing food for that, and also
great.
Martha's Cafe. And then the Right Honorable Said Musa has graciously bought passes for his constituency. So that sort of support is also vital, because when leaders support what we're doing, then it makes our work easier.
Sounds very good.
Yeah.
Well, we give it support. That's why you're here.
Thank you so much. Mose has been a wonderful support system too. He's always been very gracious in having us come. If it's for anything yoga related, he's always
there.
He's always curious, and yeah. So.
All right, good. Well.
So let me just say, if anybody's interested in finding out a little bit more about the day, you can go to our Facebook page, the Belize International Yoga Festival, or you can call me or WhatsApp me direct, 610-0882.
All right, 610-0882.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Michelle Ashante Williams, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much.
We're always impressed with what you're doing, and we see what you're doing on Facebook. And I know you've been at this for quite some time.
Yeah. Well, correction, I have to say it's not only me. We have a team of people.
I'm telling you who's popping up.
We have some people are just
Jerry's
camera
popping
shy.
up, and
some people are just camera shy, but there's a lot of people that are doing stuff behind the scenes.
I'm sure. Yeah. And it's good work. Anything that will bring people to be conscious of themselves and to be in control of themselves is a much better thing.
It's actually a process of evolution. It doesn't happen immediately.
Yeah.
It's not a quick fix.
Clearly.
It's a patient evolution that takes place, and I think we all can evolve from no matter what we
Indeed. None of us should consider ourselves
stagnant. Yeah.
Somebody said, remember, the operative word is being.
Yeah.
You're human, but you're being. So you're in a process there, Thank you very much, Michelle, for being here. And we hope all the best. And we encourage those of our listeners and viewers who have the time and you're in Belize City, by all means. It's only a $10 donation for 12 hours of mindfulness.
Not all mindfulness is mindfulness. Well, yes, if you say mindfulness in a bigger
it's a kind of
umbrella.
consciousness,
Yeah, but it's just a day of really positive interactions, and you have a time to reflect and be soulful,
And you see how relaxed it makes Michelle. You don't want to leave. It's just, I did try to go to my time check,
still
but
working on
she's just relaxed.
I'm still working on my continuous calm.
Thank you very much. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.